Hi everyone, in this video you will see restored and colorized sketches and photos of 12 people from the 19th century. I got these amazing images from the British Library on Flickr. It has a massive collection of incredible albums and I'll drop the link in the description. Now check out what these people might have looked like in the 1800s and the stories these images could tell. It's really mind-blowing. This is Marie Antoinette, the last queen of France. But what you are looking at isn't a photo. It's an engraving from 1859, nearly 70 years after she was sent to the guillotine. For over a century, sketches like this were the only way we could really see her. But as you can see here, we've finally bridged that gap. Just 5 years ago, you'd only see a reconstruction like this in a high-budget documentary. And honestly, the fact that anyone can do this in under a minute on just 8 gigs of VRAM, that's mind-blowing. This is George S. Downing. He was a powerhouse in 19th century New York politics. Born in 1816, he served as the supervisor for Oyster Bay and managed the massive construction of the Queens County Courthouse. This is James H. Earnest. In the late 1800s, he was a key figure in the development of Wisconsin, specifically in the mining town of Sharpsburg. This engraving from 1881 is one of the few records we have of what he actually looked like. This is Percy Bysshe Shelley, one of the most influential poets in history. You probably know his wife, Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, but Percy was a radical in his own right. This sketch comes from an 1889 collection of his works, published decades after he tragically drowned in a storm off the coast of Italy at just 29 years old. This is Sir Colin Campbell, also known as Lord Klein. He was one of the most celebrated military leaders of the 19th century, famously leading the Thin Red Line during the Crimean War. This engraving comes from an 1894 book titled England in the 19th Century. This is Captain Daniel Woodriff. In the early 1800s, he was a key figure in the first attempt to settle what we now know as Melbourne, Australia. This engraving from an 1879 history book shows a man who dedicated his life to the sea and the service. This is Nehemiah Cleaveland. In the mid-1800s, he was a respected educator and historian who was deeply committed to preserving the heritage of his community in Massachusetts. This portrait comes from a commemorative address he gave in 1850 for the 200th anniversary of the town of Topsfield. This is Admiral Roncière-Le. He was a central figure in the defense of Paris during the Franco-Prussian War in 1870. This engraving was published just 2 years later, capturing him in his full military uniform. This is Johann Nepomuk Sepp. Back in the late 1800s, he was a famous historian and explorer who traveled deep into the Holy Land to uncover the past. This portrait comes from his 1896 travelogue, capturing a man who dedicated his life to the pursuit of knowledge. This is Felicia Hemans, better known to the world as Mrs. Hemans. Back in the 1800s, she was one of the most famous poets on the planet. This illustration comes from an 1889 collection of Irish and world poetry, capturing a woman whose words touched millions of lives. This is Queen Victoria. We usually think of her as the stern matriarch of the late 19th century, but this portrait from 1839 shows her as a young woman at the very start of her reign. It comes from a Dutch historical volume published in Amsterdam just 2 years after she took the throne. This is the wife of Soyola, a woman of high rank from 19th century Madagascar. This portrait comes from an 1857 book documenting Commodore Perry's famous expedition to Japan. For nearly 170 years, this sketch was the only way we could really see her. This is the simple workflow I used to generate those images. Now, Flux 2 Klein 9B is a decent model if you are looking for quick generations and don't want to stress your system to its absolute limits. You can definitely use Qwen Image Edit if you want superior results, but it's totally up to you. Here are the links to all the models. Once you've downloaded them, drop them into the relevant folders inside the models folder of your ComfyUI directory. Here's where you can select the models. Make sure to click the drop-down arrow and manually select each model. Now this is the prompt I used for all my generations. Sometimes you might have to adjust it depending on the person. For example, the model recognizes this sketch of Percy Shelley as a woman, so you have to specify their gender in the prompt if that happens. Otherwise, you can use this exact prompt for most of your generations without tweaking anything. The output will be in the same resolution as the original image. If you want to change the resolution, just bypass these two nodes, enable this node right here, and Connect its latent output to the latent input of the sampler. Then you can set your preferred resolution here. I'd love to see your generations, so feel free to share them in our Discord server. Now check out the live generations.